Hello, my name is Nick, and I'm going to be starting a new series on the NASCAR Cup Series season, and it'll be just my opinion on what I thought about the races and what I thought, some drivers could have done better, maybe won the race, and what I overall thought about it. But yeah, let's hope this goes well. So, very interesting start to the season. Obviously, you had William Byron winning his second consecutive Daytona 500, and the next week Christopher Bell winning at Atlanta, and then him winning again yesterday in a thriller. I would say I didn't get to watch much, but from what I did, it was pretty awesome. I started watching around. I don't know. I guess it was whatever the few laps after stage two was, and it was a great battle. From when I joined, it was the 8 of Kyle Busch going against the 88 of Shane Van Gisbergen. And the 8 car was actually holding his own. He was doing very well, and from what I saw, it looked like just strategy ended up screwing over his race. But I noticed that he was holding his own against one of the greatest road racers in the world in the V8. I think it was Australian supercars, and I just had to think of how Kyle Busch actually had a decent car for once. It was a little bit strange, to be honest, because as a Kyle Busch fan, you kind of hope for good cars every week, and you want him to do well. But it's kind of hard, being a Kyle Busch fan, especially with last year not getting a win. But yeah, it was oddly bizarre to see him have a good car, and um, yeah, it was strange. There weren't very many incidents. I know there was. I think it was the first lap of the race where Chastain did his signature move, the Chastain, and he pretty much plowed through everybody. Um, but I think it was kind of funny that he was mentoring Carson Hocevar after Atlanta last week, saying how you can't do that stuff. You can't do that stuff. Don't be so aggressive, and then he does something stupid like that, and but overall, there wasn't very many cautions for incident. That wasn't even a caution at the beginning of the race. Then there was an incident in stage 3 between the 99 and the 87 car. Daniel Suarez was going into the second to last turn and hit a access road that was gravel, and he spun his car going into the what's the word? The extra road by the corner, and ended up spinning out and causing a lot of smoke. So the 87 of Connor Zilic could not see him, and ended up colliding with the 99 car. This resulted in a caution, and pretty much a lot of people probably thought it was going to save maybe the 8 car's race. Once again, I have to say the 8 car was very fast. It was very shocking to see the 8 car have a very good run. He led 49 laps or 42. I don't remember what it was, but the most laps led in the race was Kyle Busch, and it was kind of hopeful. I had a kart league yesterday, excuse me, and they were talking about it. We were talking about it. Myself, and the other races. We were talking about it, and it honestly sounded like Kyle Busch was going to win the race, and I don't know what happened. I don't remember watching, but I'll have to look at it. But I think it sounded like the 20 car was overall just better, and it sounded like people were just saying that the car gave up on the 8. And, sometimes you can't help if the car gives up on you. You know what I mean? But definitely heartbreak for Kyle Busch. Had a really good car from what I watched, and he led a lot of laps. I think he had the best car during the race, but obviously the 20 of Christopher Bell, just, better skill, probably a better pit strategy. But yeah, it's just, you can't help, like I said earlier, you just can't help if the car gives up on you. And I was hopeful, It's hard to watch a race and your favorite driver just not win anymore, so hopefully it's not the end for Kyle Busch, but it certainly looks like it could be. his contract's up this year, so maybe he can find a better ride. I would love to see him go back to Hendrick or JGR. Um, Hendrick's I don't know if Hendrick's a possibility because I don't know if Alex Bowman's up at the end of the year. I think they were talking about it, but it's up to Rick if he wants to give up those drivers. I don't know if JGR is a possibility because Denny Hamlin's still a really great race car driver. Ty Gibbs, that's his grandson. You can't really take away that from him. Uh, Chase Briscoe just started his seat in the 19 car. He's got at least 2 or 3 years on him, and Christopher Bell still winning races. So it's gonna be a hard year for Kyle Busch. It's honestly gonna be it's a year of decision. Does he stay with RCR and mediocre race cars, or does he try to find somebody else? It's just you got to feel bad for the guy because two-time champion has over 60 NASCAR Cup Series wins and he can't win races. It's just heartbreak, But who knows? Kyle Busch is a talented driver, and maybe he can figure something out. Another thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap up today is the track limits at Circuit of the Americas. It was a little different this year because the new configuration. It used to be they would only enforce track limits during the S's, and that was it. The rest of the racetrack was fair game. And but this year with the shorter configuration, obviously not the end of the S's and then the long straightaway, it was a little different. They enforced at least at the beginning of the race, they enforced the S's and turn 6. So it would have been the turn that would have kept going through the S's, but instead it was a sharp left turn and onto the back straightaway. But at about halfway through the race, I think NASCAR called it quits on that, and they stopped calling track limits on turn 6. But there's got to be a lot of arguments going around. I mean, I had a discussion with my dad about this yesterday. Track limits should be honestly strictly enforced in NASCAR because the cars are capable of turning. You just got to slow down more, and you can still put down fast lap times, no doubt. I honestly think Kyle Busch lost last night because of track limits. If you watch the onboard of Christopher Bell, you can see that during the S's, Christopher Bell would go below the curb and get by Kyle Busch. And I'm not saying that because I'm a base Kyle Busch fan. I'm just saying that because if you want to race, you got to race right. But it's almost like enforcing the double yellow line rule. If you pass underneath the curbs, give your position back. But it's been like that for years, and NASCAR won't change it. And I'm not necessarily upset about it, even though I sound like I am. I just think that it could just be better racing if we gave it, not drivers. If you take Watkins Glen, for example, turn 1, 90-degree right turn. A lot of the drivers don't even take the 90-degree right turn. They don't hit the apex correctly, so they end up swinging wide, going out by the wall, and then they're up in the S's. I just think that it's a little silly, and it looks like the drivers have no skill. So, I'm a little indifferent on it, and so it's just a little strange to me that we think that it's okay to do that. But I don't make the rules. It's up to NASCAR. So, but yeah, I thank you guys for watching this. If anybody does, to be honest, I will try to watch next week's race and hopefully give a better, more detailed description of it. And but yeah, see you around.